And welcome to tonight's edition of Focus. Banning the burqa. Is it a way to protect women's rights and help immigrants to integrate, or is it a thinly veiled attack on France's Muslim majority? Well, a parliamentary commission here in France is due to report next Tuesday on whether or not the burqa, that is, the full veil worn by some Muslims, should be prohibited on French soil. The president of the commission, André Guérin, has said that the ban will be absolute, i.e. it will be in all public places. Now, if the commission agrees to the ban, then it'll be the first step towards putting a law in place. Now, France's ruling Conservative Party is basing its arguments for banning the burqa on protecting women's rights. The party argues that what it objects to is the covering of the face. Indeed, the head of the UMP party, Xavier Bertrand, argues that the full veil is a prison for women who wear it. But is a total ban going too far? And anyway, would it even be enforceable?
Soraya comes from a French Catholic family. She was 18 when she converted to Islam, and a few years later she decided to wear the burqa. She says it was her own personal decision.
When I asked my husband if I could wear the veil, he said he wasn't ready, so I had to wait for my husband to accept the idea of me wearing it. Wearing the veil is not a provocation at all. I hear a lot of this on TV. Muslims do it to provoke us, it's not really Islam. But for one thing, it is part of Islam. All of the Prophet's wives wore it. Since I've been wearing the full veil, I've been feeling more beautiful. I know it's increased my beauty.
A French parliamentary commission has been discussing banning the burqa and full-face veils in public places. Their report's due out next week, but the debate's been heated for some time already. On Wednesday, an MP, Jean-François called for full veils to be outlawed and for a penalty for those who flout the rules.
There would be a fine. When police officers see a woman wearing a burqa, she will be ordered to pay a fine. It's as simple as that, no fuss.
And make them take it off?
No, the idea is to invite the person to do so. They will be fined, of course, but the purpose of this law is to deter them.
The burqa is a sensitive issue, and it'll take time before there can be any kind of law against it. In France, only 1,000 women or so wear it, but non-Muslims often get confused and use the word burqa when they actually mean other forms of the veil. The burqa is the most concealing of all Islamic veils. Most wearers live in parts of Afghanistan and Pakistan. The full veil, meanwhile, refers to the niqab, a veil covering the whole face. The garments aren't imposed by the Quran, but they are promoted and encouraged by fundamentalist movements. Those in favour of a total ban say it's simply about respecting a woman's dignity, but for some Muslim associations, a ban could have adverse effects.
You'll have many women who will end up stuck at home. So much for women's liberty. The veil liberates her, but she'll end up isolated. Others will consider leaving France for England or other countries. French women will have to leave France because they can't practice their faith. What kind of image is France sending of itself to the world?
Those who oppose a ban on the full veil are preparing a counterattack. On the internet, they refer to a 19th century French law, which is technically still in force, forbidding women from wearing trousers. They want to show that many people break the law, often unawares, but it doesn't mean they'll be punished.
Well, for more on that, I'm now joined by an MP from France's ruling Conservative Party, Jacques Miard, and by Laurent Chambon, a political scientist. I'd like to go to you first, Mr. Miard. Currently, only about 1,000 women wear the burqa in France, I believe. Does France not have more pressing problems than what some Muslim women are wearing? Why this debate now?
Well, if you say this is the only problem in France, I will agree with you. This is not the only problem, as every country is facing more problems than one. But your figure is already wrong, because in fact, few years ago, there were no women wearing burqas or niqab, and today the police have counted them to 2,000. So 1,000 is already double. So it is an increasing phenomenon. And even it's not a question of number. It's a question of principle, because this practice is something that we cannot accept. First of all, in our tradition, for years and years, 1,000 years, never women had a cloth for their face in this country, as well in Britain, Germany, and so on. So the people who try to impose that on women or women who claim to free carry this kind of clothes are just trying to, separate them from, let's say, the willing of living together altogether. So I think this is a question in principle. This is, in my view, of course, contrary to the dignity of person, equality of sex, and of course, it's also a social security problem, So I think this is a practice that should be stopped. And in the mission I belong to, there is a general consensus to say this is not acceptable. The only point of diversity was how do we do? Do we pass a resolution? Do we pass a law? Or do we dialogue only? In my view, only a law will put a clear rule, a clear norm to everyone. And I heard your report saying that, of course, women will stay at home. This is pure rubbish. This is pure rubbish. We had the same argument in the law for veil at school. People said that, of course, the girls will not go to public school. This is absolutely wrong. The law has been passed. Everything was then
Thank you very much, Mr. Miat. Thank you very much, Mr. Miat. I'd like to pass over to our other guest, Laurent Chambon. What do you make of Mr. Miat's opinions?
Well, what's interesting is that we heard more or less the same thing, but about the veil here from the ultra anti-Islamic party of Geert Wilders. So I can't help but have a nasty taste in my mouth when I hear that. That said, I think if the French government wants to emancipate women, I think there are other priorities, starting, for example, by equality of salary. And then maybe for the 1,000 women who are veiled that are left, maybe talk about it. But I think they're reversing the priorities.
Mr. Miat, what do you think of that?
Also,
sorry, I'd just like to pass on to Mr. Miat. Mr. Miat, what do you think of that? Don't you think it's more important to provide better education? Might the Muslim community in France not feel sort of persecuted by a law like this?
Oh, please, don't speak of persecution. I am the victim because women who can't prevent, they want to prevent me to see their face, I am the victim. I am the one which is put out of their view, This is absolutely rubbish. Don't say this is persecution. It's only the way that in this country, in our society, for thousands and thousands of years, never women had a cloth on their face. Madame Badinter, who is a feminist, who has been working for years and years for emancipating women, has said it clearly as a woman. So please don't say that we are stigmatizing the Muslim community. This is pure rubbish. If tomorrow there is another religion which is asking for whipping in the street, as we see, for instance, in India, I will pass a law to prevent it and forbid it.
In the streets, are we? We're talking about a garment. We're talking about an item of clothing, Mr. Miat. What do you make of that, Laurent Chambon? Do you think that he's the victim?
Well,
sorry, just pause for one moment, please. I'd like to let Laurent Chambon speak.
Okay.
Well, I found it very cute that he calls himself a victim. I'm not defending the burqa. I'm just saying that, one, this is not the first priority when it comes to emancipating people. And second thing, it sounds like they're not really the victim. It's quite embarrassing, I have to say, especially when you see it from another country, wherever it is. This obsession with the burqa suddenly, whereas France is really facing lots of problems. And if we talk about emancipation, about integration and things like that, I think we should start effectively by stopping discrimination at work, stopping discrimination at school, stopping discrimination in housing, in salaries, and then maybe we could talk about the burqa.
I think it's...
Mr. Miat, just one quick question. There was a law passed in 2004 to stop people wearing the burqa and other religious symbols in schools, for example. Is that not enough? Do we really need to stop people wearing what they want on the street?
No, because this is something that really offends the huge majority of French women and French men, because I feel as being excluded, you know, because you cannot speak that I am stigmatizing the Muslim, because this is a growing phenomenon. This is a genuine prison for women, and when this young man is speaking of emancipating, this is true that we always need to increase, let's say, the combat against discrimination, but this is a main discrimination on women, and there is a genuine consensus on that in this country.
Thank you very much for your opinion. Mr. Jean-François, just quickly, do you think that 2,000 women approximately in France wearing the burqa is a growing phenomenon, something dangerous?
It might be, but also I've seen a growing phenomenon of fat people, ugly people, people with bad fashion. I didn't hear a law about it, so I think we should stay calm and really concentrate on what's really important. And I don't think it's the burqa. Sorry for that.
Mr. Chambon, Mr. Mial, thank you very much for your participation. I'm afraid that's all the time we've got for this edition of Focus. Do stay tuned to France 24.
All of France 24 on France24.com. All of France 24 in French, English and Arabic on France24.com.